But we are now live, and I want to thank everyone for joining us for the 2024 Pangram announcement. And my name is Heather Levitt Martinez, and I'm so excited to be joined here today by Carol Dubois, Mike Gold, and Sharon Zeugen. And I want to talk a little bit about how Pangram Day came to be. So let's just take a moment to give a shout out to pangramlove.com. This is a website you can go to at any time and learn about pangrams. And so how did this all start? Well, it all started last year in January when I was teaching an Improve Your Handwriting class at the Smiley Building in Durango, Colorado. And I was encouraging participants to practice their handwriting by writing pangrams. Now, for those of you who don't know, a pangram is a hollow alphabetic sentence. Now, that's a mouthful. So it's really a sentence that has every letter of the alphabet. And you've probably heard of the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And that's one we all know, but we kind of get tired of writing them as calligraphers. So I gave the extra challenge to my students to literally compose an original pangram. And just a few hours later, I received an original pangram in my inbox by Kate Smock. And it was so fabulous that I immediately wanted to read more original pangrams. So I searched the internet and I found a few, but the idea of reading pangrams written by people that I knew, especially calligraphers and lettering artists, was very exciting to me. So I called on the most inspiring people I knew to help me with this new idea, the sweethearts of lettering. So I'm going to spotlight each of these so that you can see who they are. Carol Dubois, the teacher who taught me how to use a folded pen and also put this Horizon pen in my hand after teaching me how to write Neuland hand. It literally changed the trajectory of my career and my life. And Sharon Zeugen, I was fortunate enough to hear about Sharon at the All Hands Conference in North Carolina, where I met Carol. And I got to see her work as a visual practitioner at the IFVP, the International Forum of Visual Practitioners. And when she taught rhythmic italic, it changed the way I looked at rapid capture for graphic recording. And it inspired my handwriting and my approach to my work. She gave me permission to play. And then we have Mike Gold. I was lucky enough to graphic record for Mike at the Seattle Letters Conference and to tech host for him in his early days as an online teacher on Zoom. And his approach and style appealed to me as an artist and gave me permission to experiment and embrace forms, letter forms that I had never seen before. Now, these master calligraphers have entered during a pivotal point in my life and career to teach me exactly what I needed in that moment. And I wanted to share that to everyone because they are so generous and kind for teaching that we put together a class a few years ago for the love of lettering. And it was in the month of February. So that's how Mike, Carol, and Sharon got their names, or at least I titled them the Sweethearts of Lettering. So you can certainly go check out that class. I'll put all that information in the description. And from there, we had a contest. And in the first year, we had calligraphers. I'm just going to stop for now. We had calligraphers entering all kinds of pangrams. We had calligraphers, Alexaphiles from all around the world submit original composed pangrams at pangramlove.com, and every pangram was a winner. Each qualifying pangram gets named and included on a winning list of pangrams that you can download there. So what's required to qualify? The pangram just needs to include every letter of the alphabet. It must be original and it has to contain real words. So we really go over all of these lists. And I believe that the sweethearts of lettering agree that what makes a pangram great is that it's short, it has brevity, it's creative, it gives you all these ideas when you read it, and it's memorable. It's mnemonic. You're going to remember it so that you can practice it. But why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about some of this year's winner. But first, I want to welcome you, Carol, Sharon, and Mike. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
So glad to be here, Heather. Thank you for making this all happen.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Great. So do we want to talk about some of the award winners now, and then we can get to your top picks and what you feel makes a really great pangram?
Sure.
All right, excellent. So let me go ahead and share my screen again so that all of you can see. Maybe. Here we go. So we talked a little bit about brevity. So this is just to award some of our friends out there. Some of you may know Anita Bigelow, Tess, and Katrina. These are some of their fun pangrams. Would any of you like to say anything about brevity? How important is that?
Well, it's important to me because if I'm practicing my writing, it's more efficient. I can write all the letters and then I can go on and do it again.
Yeah.
I think it's also part of the challenge too, is to keep you could make a pangram sentence with 1,000 letters easy, but how hard is it to try to do it under 40 letters? That's a challenge. So it's kind of fun to challenge yourself to be able to do that. But sometimes it's got to be a little bit longer just because um, the sentence that you're coming up with is doesn't let you be that short. But the challenge for me is trying to keep it as short as you can.
Yep, that's right. And it's a puzzle, isn't it? Trying to get it that short.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I second or third what everybody said. And also I realize that not only must it have brevity, but also some sort of coherency. It can be zany, but it's got to hang together and have some element of meaning.
Absolutely. And I love that you said 40 characters, Mike, because actually that's where we hit the point where we said, okay, if it's 40 or less, you get the brevity award. So that's how we decided, because the quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog is actually 26 letters, but that is really, really short. That's so concise. But most of our submissions were over 50 letters. So we thought 40 is a good one. We got a couple submissions in there. And Mike, you came up with a lot of really fun award names. One of them was Animals with Cameras. And Ludi did such a great job at coming up with 3 pangrams to fit this category. Can you say a little bit about what inspired this, or any of your titles?
This particular one is because there's actually Instagram or YouTube channel that has Animals with Cameras. That's the title. And so it's just funny pictures with animals. And so that's what inspired this, because they were really funny descriptions of animals doing crazy things. So I like that. I mean, wise Sphinx cues to buy her morning coffee drink a zesty Java latte. I mean, how great is that? I wish I'd get in line behind that Sphinx.
I love it. I love it. And you'll also notice that we have, under the names, we've also awarded other awards. And so if a pangram writer like Ludi has, and Susan has written more than 2 or 3, then we gave them that award as well. Excellent. And I'm curious, what does this award title mean actually to all of you? So I'd love to hear what you thought at the beginning, Mike, and Carol and Sharon, if you'd like to chime in. What does ZAF medalist mean to you?
It was named after Hermann Zapf, who is, oh, he passed away not too long ago, but he's one of the greats in the calligraphy world, did a lot of typefaces, taught a lot of people, great teacher, has just his lettering sort of helped revitalize the modern renaissance of calligraphy. And also, since these particular pangrams had to do with writing, I just gave it the name Zapf Medalist, and also included Sheila Waters for one of them too, because I wanted to give a shout out to Sheila Waters because she was such an important teacher to so many of us, and she passed away, unfortunately, not too long ago, and has a great book, and her work is just phenomenal. So just wanted to honor the 2 of them.
Fantastic. Sharon, Carol, anything you'd like to add? Yeah.
Oh, Mike said it so beautiful.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you, Mike. Yes.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, this is a high achievement award, but we also have some best ofs. And so these were the best ofs. What's best savory and sweet combo by Jolene. Say a little bit about Thank God for Zoom. Judy would love this because she was literally on a Zoom call. I know Judy because she was in the Make It Your Lettering year. She was on a Zoom call when she wrote this pangram.
um, well, it just made me think of TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. So I don't know why that came into my head, but thank God for Zoom, just because I'm grateful for Zoom because it allowed me to keep teaching like the rest of us during the pandemic. And so I didn't even know about Zoom until then. And so I'm eternally grateful for Zoom. So that's sort of what came to my mind when I was coming up with that. And I was just going to leave it TGFZ award, but then no one would understand what it was. So I put the little asterisk and so that people would know. And I originally had it down at the bottom of the awards. I didn't have it in parentheses, so you'd have to look down to see what it meant because I wanted to sort of make people think about what does TGFZ mean?
I love that.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all pretty grateful for that. And I've had the pleasure of tech hosting for all three of you. Would you like to say a little bit about teaching on Zoom and how you feel about that?
I'll let Carol or Sharon talk because I'm saying too much.
With somebody like a maestra like Heather holding space and creating a platform that is so safe and user-friendly, it has made it a pure joy and something I actually love to do. From one who is very resistant at first.
There's a little resistance there, right? That's okay.
Heather had to talk me into it as well.
Heather's made something that sounds totally, absolutely impossible become something we all can hardly wait to do again.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see all of you. It's like I get to see you in classes, in sessions, in opportunities like this that I don't get to every single day. And anytime I want to see you again, I can go online and look at some of the recordings either on your websites, because you do have great websites. I'll put that in the description below as well. They're all teaching. They all have classes that are coming up. Here's some more Best Award winners.
I just wanted to say one other thing about the Zoom, and that's that it's allowed us to be connected all around the world. Before Zoom, you could just have small workshops and you had to show up in person, but now we can connect to people that wouldn't necessarily have access to our workshops or anything to be able to have that connection and be able to share all that. So it's personally, it's allowed me to see the work and be with people that I would never meet if it hadn't been for Zoom. So I don't know. I think it's a way to bring us all together.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I love that we can all come together and celebrate Pangrams. So who identifies here as Alexaphile? That's a lover of letters, lover of words, I should say. So here we are celebrating Pangram. So I want to talk a little bit about what is Pangram Day? Well, it is February 1st, and we coined that last year when we all got together. I think there were a couple hundred people on the Zoom call. And we coined February 1st is Pangram Day. So that's when you want to write your Pangram by, or if you forget, you can celebrate that day by writing your Pangram on that day and then submitting it to pangramlove.com, and it will be put into a list of winning Pangrams. Now, we're compiling that list right now. It's already compiled. I'm going to send it out to the winners so they can proof it, and then we'll have it on the website here in the next day or two. And then we're going to take the top winners who we have not announced just yet. So stay tuned. And both all three, Carol, Mike, and Sharon, have created art that we're going to put on stickers. Now, these are last year's stickers created by our sweethearts. And can you say a little bit, do you mind saying a little bit about how it felt to make these stickers, which also the art is on the back, and credit to the artist, so that once you put your sticker somewhere, you still have a little bit of information about that. But can you talk a little bit about your process of making your art for these? And then we can talk about this year's as well, if you'd like. But you say a little bit about these stickers. Who'd like to go first? Carol, do you mind speaking?
I decided the tan one, yes,
Yeah.
to take each word and write it in a different script and try to make them get along together in such a tangle and yet be legible but be interesting.
Right. And this is a big sticker. Yeah.
It is a big sticker.
Yeah. So all of the stickers on the longest end are 4 inches. So it's a nice big sticker so you can see the artwork. So it does take up a lot of room. Mike, do you mind talking about? Yeah.
Vinyl.
Yes.
I've had mine on a water bottle for a year.
Yeah.
And just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great quality. Thank you for that. And then Mike, can you talk about yours?
Sure. I wanted to give the feel of the words, and I had to actually look up Zephyr, and I loved that word. I actually thought it was going to be a Zeppelin, like
Right.
like the Goodyear blimp or something, but it really turned out to be like a soft breeze. And so I wanted to make the lettering feel airy. So I did the double stroke letters, and I did add some color, but I wanted it to feel sort of like spring-like a little bit with the cool breeze, soft breeze coming in through the window. And so that was the motivation for that, and not just do it straight. I wanted to make it feel like the lettering was sort of blowing in the wind a little bit.
And we talked about these last year as well. But he did also, for those of you who really wanted a bonus, he put a bird on it.
Oh, yeah, that had to do with my days working at the card business, where anytime you weren't sure about something, that was the motto: just put a bird on it, and then it would sell.
That's right. And it was really fun to play with this specific sticker card company or sticker company because we made this one look like it was on craft paper. And then this one has a bit of a metallic sheen. This is Sharon. Sharon, can you say a little bit about this one?
Sure can. I have a theme going on in my life called Illuminating the Dark, and I think this is carrying on that theme. You can see I like things on black, and I really loved the feeling of this pangram. It had a very haiku kind of quality, so I wanted something kind of that I don't know, it's kind of dreamy quality, but also I just love the contrast of the shimmery and the black, and my thumbprint as
Yeah.
the moonlight.
Yeah. 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 That's great. I love it. And so we have 3 new pieces of art. And actually, we're going to do the bonus. We actually are going to have a bonus sticker this year because Carol created the Kate Smock's pangram that I featured at the very beginning. So we have 4 stickers this year, and we're going to now show them to you. I'm going to start with you, Sharon. And this is announcing your top pick. And if you can tell us a little bit about just anything, whether any of you can either talk about the why you came to this, your process, what you liked about it, and it can be as heavy or as lighthearted as you want. So congratulations, Susan Mentis, for this top pick from Sharon.
Well, I loved the zaniness of it, but also, to Mike's point, the idea of the reference to calligraphy and versals in particular. And I did this all digitally, actually, and I did it in a way that was kind of funky, which is sort of a little outside of my comfort zone for this kind of thing. But I liked that the wackiness and sort of Zen cone quality of the meaning gave me permission to do that. So I wanted it to be a little, funky. And I just love the word quashes and jinxed. and also the reference to Zig markers and Bic. And I love playing with this on the iPad too, which is a different tool than I usually use.
Yeah, I loved seeing it, and I love the color that's playing here, and that you were able to do versals and your version of versals in digital. How fun. This is so decorative. And so I hope Susan feels great about this. Thank you so much for sharing. Carol or Mike, do you have any questions for Sharon? Anything else you'd add?
It's great. I love how playful the lettering is and the color behind it and stuff. It's
Yes.
really it's really fun, and it to me it feels like the words.
Thank you.
That word flow is absolutely inspired.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to express that it's sort of like it's quashing and jinxed and something's going undone. And the whole thing, I really like that idea of like that being on the edge of undone and not quite so well put together. And that is kind of quintessentially how I roll in this life. It's like no matter how put together I am, it never quite works out. So also just one more thing.
Mhm.
As you know, the way I teach too, we are human beings, and even with the capacity to tweak and make things sharp, and I do like the like keeping grounded in our humanity and being okay with imperfection. And that's not an excuse for, not developing skill, but it seems really important that we accept where we are on this lettering journey and celebrate that. So
Thank you,
this
Sharon.
gave me an opportunity to do that, to
Well,
send that message out.
thank you. And I think this is great because as people start to collect these stickers, we'll have them on sale as soon as we order them, get them approved by all of the artists. This really reminds us not only to practice our pangrams, but to be gentle on ourselves, right? To enjoy this process. And that, not every letter has to be perfect, but every letter is perfect in and of its own right. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, you're up next. Tell us about your top pick by Katrina Malachowski.
Well, it's pretty simple. I'm a golfer, and so I was drawn to that one because I thought no one else is going to pick this one because it has to do with golf and taxing. Taxes, which none of us want to think about. But I liked it. I liked how short it was, so that was nice. But it was more just that it was pretty funny, and I read the description of that she was doing her doing her taxes in Quicken or working with Quicken, and that's what inspired this particular pangram, which just seemed so great because I'm all about being in the moment, and whatever you're doing maybe impacts what you come up with. And so she was inspired to write this. But I got to tell you, it wasn't easy because there was several others that I could have easily picked. I loved there was three animal ones about the Sphinx, the walrus, and the penguins, which I was really drawn to. And those were so well done. A lot of these were done really well. It was really hard to choose. And I also really I was drawn to the one that used the word jalfrezi. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right, but I like words that I've never heard of before, and I had to look that one up, and it sounds really good to me because I like Indian food, and that's a nice Indian dish or sauce. So I was drawn to that one, and there were so many really good ones, so it wasn't easy. I just decided to go with the golf, and so that's why I chose this one. But it's not. It's I could have chosen any number of other ones too, just so you know.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm sure people love hearing that. And I'd like to know, what did you use to make this pangram?
Oh
What
yes,
tool?
yes, of course.
I got to set you up for this.
Heather was kind enough to send me some Neuland markers, which she is a representative for Neuland, which is kind of nice. And we get to benefit, all of us that are associated with her get to benefit because she sends us some nice Neuland markers. So I used the big outliner marker for this. Instead of using a brush, I used, it's one of my favorite tools now, is this big outliner. I do like, I have some other favorite brushes, and one's the Pentel color brush. I love that, and I was going to use that for this, but I thought since this was something Heather was sponsoring, I would pull out the Neuland marker and see if it worked for me, and I loved it. So it was great. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Great. Anything to add to Mike's top pick or any questions for him?
Mike, I'm absolutely in love with that cue. Forever and ever. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. I thought about actually making the loop on the Q tie in with the W, but when I did that, I don't ever do the Q coming down like that. Usually I have it curving off to the side, and I thought I'm just going to leave it like that. So thank you, Carol.
Yeah, I just love the brevity of it, and it's all so beautifully contained. I like the way the I dotted with the J dotted, and then down the dot of the text is kind of the little ding ding ding, salt and pepper that adds such a great great marks to this beautiful design. Love it. So lively.
And what I love about looking at pangrams after we've written them is that we can choose a different pangram or write it again in a different style and a different way. And so it's just practice. And when we practice, we can play, we can experiment, and then find new ways to do things.
Absolutely.
Okay, Carol, are you ready to share your top pick?
Yes.
Here we go. Congratulations, Gwyneth Hibbett.
Well, this is a lengthy pangram, but I absolutely fell in love with the name Pippin to begin with, the name of the fluffy, fuzzy fox. And then I couldn't get the image of overjoyed maggots out of my head. After reading all the pangrams, and like Sharon and Mike, I could have chosen so many of the other ones.
Yes.
And I kept reading and reading. And then I walked away and thought, well, what stays with me when I walk away?
Yeah.
And it was this one. The other reason I love this is there are so many doubles in here, double P's, double F's, Z's, B's, K's, E's. Everywhere you look, there are doubles. And those are always a challenge when writing sort of a formal script, to manage two letters that are the same right next to one another. I decided to write it in a circle and exploit the ascenders and descenders more than I would normally do. And so that's what I did.
Love it.
How many times did you have to write this to get all the to have it fit on the circle just right?
About 5 times.
Mm.
That's
And
good practice.
that's good practice. I know, it really is. I know that some people have a way of writing it on a long line and doing the math of using 3.14 pi and then figuring out, that just fries my brain completely. I'm never able to successfully make that work. It's more work than it's worth. I'd rather just keep writing on circles and move things slightly and make the arrangements that way.
Well, and I have to ask, how in those 5 iterations, how many times did your ascenders and descenders change? Did those relationships change a bit?
They got better as I got moving through. I was able to try different combinations, and so the process pays off, at least for me.
Yeah.
To do the drafts and the roughs, and then have something that when I look at it, it's like, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. And I think what you've given us here is even an exemplar for for ascenders and descenders. Like now I can look at this as almost a reference and say, how do I want to write my F today? Oh, by the way, here's 5 right off the bat that I can see. There may be even some more in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the double letters. I'm so inspired too how this references, again, back to Sheila Waters, a more formal approach to calligraphy. And yet I love that the zaniness of the words within that formal framework and the lighthearted, very, like you said, worked out, but yet fresh way of dealing with all the descenders and ascenders. It's so inspired. I love that.
Well, and I wrote it with a folded pen, which
Wow.
normally put in the category of a formal tool, a tool for formal writing, but it was written formally and not
I love
loosely.
that.
Yeah, I want to. Oh, I'm seeing the lettering instead of black. I'm seeing it in green, and what a nice wreath that would make. And I put that on my door.
Absolutely.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. I mean, especially look at all of the descenders at the top, Pippin, Fluffy, Fuzzy, Fox. And then there's not a lot of descenders at the bottom. And so you really fill the space well with the neighboring descenders and that overjoyed Y and making that S come below the baseline. I mean, this is a study in and of itself, not just of you, but us as viewers, that we could really enjoy looking at this. And this will be around sticker. And so what will be interesting is that when people start to stick this round sticker on things, what orientation will they use?
Yeah.
Right. The normal orientation is, according to Sheila Waters, is 9 o'clock to
Mhm,
begin.
mhm. Right.
And another normal place would be 12 o'clock. And neither of those worked for this.
No, I feel like it needs to, your eye needs to start reading at Pippin and it comes
Yeah.
in at the 11 o'clock position because that's the top, what, 1/3. And then, yeah, it seemed very natural for it to begin there.
I spun it around so many times
Yeah.
trying to make it fit the rule, and it
Yeah.
didn't.
And
Yeah.
it didn't fit. Yeah, this works wonderfully. And we will have it, we will print it so that it will print in this direction. And because we do the back printing, it will be in that orientation. So
Mm.
it won't, unless the printers, the sticker printers mess it up, which I don't believe they will, because I
And
don't print stickers sideways. But as long as they print it correctly, then people will at least be able to peel it off and put it down if they want it to read this way.
can I say something?
Yeah.
You get the award for successfully being able to write 4 Fs in a row, the fluffy fuzzy, all those, look at those Fs, how they have to, I mean, that's genius.
It was a good day, Sharon.
It was a
Well, and it's also, again, a lesson to all calligraphers to think about where, what comes before and what comes after. We're not just, hanging on for dear life to those black marks, but it's the relationships in the space.
Yeah. Where do they live on the page?
And I
Yeah.
like what you were saying about it. It probably each time you got to know, oh, I know what's coming after Fluffy. I know Fuzzy's right there. And I need to be thinking about that and considering how Fuzzy's going to fit with Fluffy. And I love that.
Well, and being able to balance the descenders and ascenders going all around so it didn't look lopsided or, not balanced. Because overall it seems balanced even with all those ascenders and descenders. So that's quite a feat, Carol. That's
Yeah, no kidding.
Gwyneth lives in the UK. Gwyneth Hibbett. Thank you, Gwyneth. I love the pangram that you wrote, and the word puka or paka. I of course had to find out. It's an adjective that is like slang, and it means really cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's the Fuzzy Fox quibbles really cool accents with
overjoyed maggots.
overjoyed
Love.
maggots. Go figure.
Well, the three of you certainly have created works of art that allow us to be able to to refer to them, whether it's just the words. So thank you so much, Pangram writers, for inspiring such beautiful art, and will inspire all of us to be able to do this. What I would encourage all of you to do, not just the three on this call, of course, we can post this on social media, but if you do write a Pangram and you feel like it's Instagrammable, please put it on Instagram. Definitely give credit to the Pangram writer if you can find them, and feel free to hashtag Let's Letter Together or Pangram Love, even better, because we'll be able to find you and repost and all of that. So very excited to have these stickers, these Pangrams. All of the other listed Pangrams will be added to the existing list. So I know we've had a lot of people download the list just in the last 2 months. So you will be getting a new one. I'll be sure to email everyone that's on my email list from Let's Letter Together when the new stickers and the new lists are out. So all you have to do is go to Pangram
Heather,
Love.
can you go back to that slide?
Sure.
It just occurred to me that I made a mistake. I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh my gosh, I have to apologize to Katrina because I put a bold Quick and Whiz instead of a bald Quick and Whiz. And fortunately, it still works because there's an A top, but I didn't even notice that until right now. So sorry about that, Katrina, but hopefully you're okay with that.
And we can reach out to Katrina. Maybe she made a mistake. No, just kidding. But I like this, and I think it looks great. And I think you're right. It already has the A there. So it's not that it's still a Pangram. So this is your interpretation of that. And I think this is a great lesson that when we start to write down Pangrams, we make mistakes and we try again and we keep practicing, right? So if you can live with it, Mike, and if Katrina can, well, I think if you can live with it, that's all that really matters.
I can live with it since it's still a Pangram. So
I think we all can too. Well, I'm excited to be able to add this to our collection of stickers this year. We'll continue selling the other stickers as long as we have them available. And I would love to see this continue on year after year. Are you in with me?
I'm in. Too much fun.
I'll even make up one for next year and I'll have you hold me to it. I have all year.
That's right. Well, you know what? A lot of people say that. And I'll tell you, we probably had another half a dozen people submit in the last couple of days.
Oh, I bet.
And so just know that it doesn't matter when you submit, as long as you submit from February 1st to February 1st. I've got a list going. There were a few people that submitted, I think, the day after last year, but because we were still judging, we slid them in. But they're not on this year's list. They're on last year's. And so next year, we've already got about a half a dozen that have already submitted for next year. So you can submit anytime. Just go to pangramlove.com.
Awesome.
All right. Any final words from our sweethearts? Anything else you'd like to say about Pangrams, about your creative process, or if you have any upcoming classes, we'd love to learn from you.
I'm teaching a Zoom class. It's a 3-hour Zoom class on monkey bar caps, which is taking a lot of liberties with regular Roman capitals in an effort to create something that is a little unit that says what you want to say without it being so legible. And what I just said probably makes no sense, but if you look at the monkey bar caps information on my website, caroldubosch.com, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yep. And we'll put all of that in the description and a follow-up email for those of you that are on my list. Mike, Sharon, any last words? Any upcoming things?
I love that you call them monkey bar caps. That's such a great title. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to be teaching a class if you're in the Chicago area. If you see that red banner behind me here, I'm going to be doing a class. We're going to be doing banners exactly that size that are 5 feet long by 1.5 feet wide. And so everybody's going to be doing a big banner, which is getting out of your comfort zone if you're a calligrapher, because we're used to working a little smaller. Me too. So doing this is a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. But it's in person, so it's good. But it's with the Chicago Guild. I'm going to be teaching, if you're in Germany, I'm going to be teaching this summer for a couple weeks in Germany. That'll be on my website. And also teaching this fall in October, I think it is, for teaching a class on composition for calligraphers. And that's going to be online. So and there'll be more information to come about that on my website and Instagram later on. And if you go to the Society for Calligraphy website, that's the San Diego group, but they have an international membership and stuff. You'll be able to see information about that.
Mike, are the banners on paper or cloth?
They're going to be on paper. So I've got I've ordered some big rolls of paper, and the biggest thing is trying to get the curve memory out of the paper, doing this and stuff. But it's going to work. I originally thought about doing it on canvas or some sort of fabric, but papers. I decided on paper, and I think that that's going to work the best, actually.
Excellent. Thank you. Sharon, what do you have coming up or your final thoughts?
Well, I teach an ongoing class in Austin called Sketch Austin Happy Hour on Fridays. And I also do an ArtWise group once a month where it's as much support as for artists working in isolation. We come to the studio and we do things. And I've got something brewing with Heather coming up in the summer. I will be in Taos, New Mexico, co-teaching with my friend an art and writing workshop. And in 2025, I'm very excited. In September, I'll be going to Scotland to do a sketching and kvetching and art play shop on the go in various places in Scotland. So,
But we can follow you there, right? It's not just for those in that country. Okay.
Yes, and I promise I will. My website has become like a piece of real estate that with overgrown weeds. I'm working on that. And I'm also writing a book. It's been taking a while, but I am doing that. So a few things going on. So stay tuned.
Fabulous.
I should
Fabulous.
mention one other thing that I'm going to be doing a workshop next year in spring, I think it is, with Heather as well about the mark making, and it's the what did I call it? The mark of Zorro or something like that.
So imagine that mark making tool as a sword. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing that with Heather.
Excellent. And Carol and Sharon are both part of Make It Your Lettering Year later this year as guest artists that are going to be helping us with our projects where our focus is on surface. So check out letslettertogether.com. We have monthly live sessions always happening, and we've got 4 guest artists a year. Just want to remind everybody, I wore this shirt to remind myself that Pencil Day is coming up on March 30th. So if you're in the Durango area, I'm sure I'm going to be teaching an in-person class. In person is where I'm really focused this year. Otherwise, I'm hosting a lot of other artists because I am taking a step back and focusing more on some of my personal work and taking on a part-time job. But I will be teaching in person at the International Forum of Visual Practitioners in Montclair this summer for those of you who are interested in leveling up your lettering as a visual practitioner. And I'm having talks with some folks in the UK. I may be teaching there in September. But if I can get them to wait until next year, Sharon, maybe I can go on a big road trip and make my way to where you'll be. So thank you all for joining us in the love that we share for Pangrams. Please stay tuned. It doesn't just happen once a year. We just announce once a year, but we're Pangramming all year long. So please stay tuned as we continue to play with Pangrams.
Can you say one thing too about the Pangram on the New York Times site?
Yeah, so this is your bonus challenge should you choose to accept it. Do you want to share it or would you like me to share it?
Well, if you put it up, I'll talk about it.
There we go.
So if you don't do it already, Sharon, I know, and I both start the day with this because it's good brain activity. It gets me functioning and stuff. But they have Probably you've heard of Wordle. This is one of the games that the New York Times also has. I also love their game Connections, that we have to group words together, which is really fun. And these are all free, which is really nice. So this one's called Spelling Bee, and you can spell words with the letters. You always have to use, when you're making a word, the letter in the middle. But I don't do it for that purpose. The main reason I do it is because they include a pangram every day. Now, it doesn't include all the letters of the alphabet, but it does include all the letters in their little honeycomb that they have. So you have to use every letter to be able to make a word. And in this case, you'll see up at the top, it's bamboozle. So there's at least one. Sometimes there's more than one pangram. But that's the only reason that I do it. I don't try to make other words. I just try to figure out what the pangram is. So it's just another way of stimulating your brain and being able to have a fun way to start the day. So it's the same place where Wordle is, New York Times Games, and it's free. So I just wanted to mention that because this is Pangram Day.
Yes, and it's a really great way to exercise all of that. And I'll be sure to put that link also in the description below. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Heather.